Well, hello back. We are with another episode of the Corporate Happiness Show, and today I feel like I get treated because we have guests. We have two guests, which I think is really, really special. I know, right? And we actually have a back history too, which we're going to get into in a minute. So welcome, Steph and Ash, and thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
I know. Just not long ago, I actually was on your podcast, the Live Bold and Boss Up podcast, and I was the one that said, thank you for having me, right?
Yes. Right, that's right.
That was a great show. And I mean, yeah.
It's so nice to be on the flip side. We're never on this side of the podcast, so we're super excited.
This is really cool because I was always on a guest side, and now I have my own show, and I really enjoy it. So, and I mean, we met at the Women Conference in Tampa, and it's just, I mean, I couldn't do anything else than just go to your booth and look at these two powerful women and just introduce myself. It was amazing, right?
I'm glad you did. Yes. I'm so happy that we had that connection.
I know, me too. So listen, let's dive right in. This is, Corporate Happiness Show. And you're in the field. You're right there. You are basically placing magicians, and you're finding magicians for magical companies. And tell me a little bit about what you do, the company you work for, but it's actually your own company. And what do you do?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. So we, like you said, we were with NextPath Career Partners, but we help find people jobs. We help make that match. We're matchmakers in a way. We help match the right candidate to the right company and find their dream job. So it's super rewarding. Culture is very important. So we work with companies all over, candidates all over, and we help make that perfect match. And it's not just, a skill set. It's the total package between the personality and culture and skills. It's a lot of things that go into one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just listening to that and letting it sink in, because I tell you what, it's like what this show is about is really about highlighting how important happiness is, not just private, but also at work. And happiness means something different for everyone. But in your job, to find really, good places to place these magical people, and also to create good, cultures in companies. How do you think, what's really important for you that makes your job easier? I assume it's a good work culture, but what does that even mean with happiness and whatnot?
Yeah, I think, we came into our pure happiness from a culture, a company perspective when we created NextPath, because we get the privilege of working with many, many, many different companies and many, many, many different people. And as you know, people are completely different in all types of ways. And so we get the privilege of knowing so many different companies and so many different cultures and being able to match it up. So it's really a privilege to know all these different cultures and different ways of doing things so we can be the best matchmaker.
Yeah, no, that's good. So when you look at how unhappy people are right now, a lot of people are really, really unhappy, and a lot of companies are not really, flourishing so much, and there is a real disconnect there. So what would you tell a company? What is a good work culture? What do you think is really, really important? Like you say, people are different. So companies, thank God companies are different. We don't want everybody to just have the same culture. Right. But what would you tell a company what's really important? Because I think that information coming from you guys is really important because you're placing people.
Right. No, that's a great question, because everyone, things are different. Things are important, differently to everybody. But I will say that one thing that everyone does have in common is that we want to feel valued. We want to feel respected. We want to feel like we have a voice. And so, like, other things can change, work from home or hybrid, or those things can all change. The structure of a company can change, but the things that doesn't change is how you treat your employees, how you respect your employees, and how you make people feel. Those things everybody wants. So in creating a culture, no matter what your setup is or your environment is, you have to give people that sense of belonging and happiness. And, by doing that, give them a sense of like they belong there, that they have a voice and they can speak up and they're comfortable. You can't have a place where someone feels afraid to walk in the door, or they're going to get yelled at or be talked down to. They have to feel respected. And I think that's something across the board companies, have to, keep at top of their list.
I like that. I really like the belonging part. I really like that a lot because honestly, it is. It's like if you feel like you belong to a place, you're going to give it all. Because ultimately, you want to have a meaningful day. You want to have a meaningful job. You want to contribute. You want to learn and grow. And if you feel like, valued, worth it, and you feel like you're belonging there, you're actually excited to give that. So, what would you tell to employees? What would you tell to somebody that's looking for a job? What on their end? Because there's always, that end and there's that end. And the thing is, it's never just a company. It's a co-creation. It's an exchange. What would you tell somebody that's looking for a job on their end? What they can do?
Yeah, I think, for candidates or possible future employees, you're going to want to be honest with yourself on what you're looking for. Because some candidates, they say, oh yeah, I can come into the office, when they really want to be remote, and if that's what you're looking for, stick with that, and make sure that you're clear, and you share that up front, and you're honest, because companies can flex, right, for the right people. So just knowing what's important to you and what you need and what your boundaries are, I think is important to realize. But also, I think for younger, not younger, I shouldn't say that, but less experienced candidates probably should be a little bit more open to going into the workplace, just so that they can experience what the workplace is and the environment is, and really dive in and learn and grow and understand what different company cultures can be, and what's preferred to them and what's not.
I like that. And I like how you say, depending on who you are and what you like and what makes you happy, stay true to that and go for it, but also be a little open. And sometimes it's like being open just means another opportunity gets presented to you, whereas you might actually like that new way. You didn't know before, you were open, and then you go in and you're like, oh, I actually like that a lot. So I like how you say that, stay open. And I think that's for everyone, life is meant to be lived open, right? And sometimes to do something and then say, I never even thought about that, but I'm glad I did it. Because either you'll find out it's for you or it's not for you, means then, you go to the next stepping stone.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Totally.
And it's funny. We were just at a company or corporate lunch, and we were chatting about people being remote and not remote, or given a choice. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, wow, our employees rather be in the office than remote, because they love the people that they work with. They love the culture here. And so I thought that was like really refreshing, where, you would think you would rather remote, but then once you experience it, you might love it. So having that fluidity and openness is great.
well, and it goes back to if it's a great fit. If it's a great fit, I think, just being there, no matter in what way, just being there remote or in person is really enriching. So you mentioned flexibility, and I like that word a lot. Flexibility, how would you tell companies, to take flexibility seriously?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, this goes again with what I said earlier, is people want to feel respected and valued. And I feel like by giving someone flexibility, you're allowing them, I think you always need to prove yourself. And then by, once they prove themselves, still getting your job done. But if you need to, if you have a doctor's appointment or if you need to do this errand, and just being flexible with them as long as they're still getting their work done, I feel like you give them a sense of, like, what is it, autonomy, or that they trust. Yes.
Yeah.
I think flexibility and trust go hand in hand. Obviously, you have to earn trust. I feel like you should have to earn flexibility. But yeah, you have to, prove yourself, and you'll gain more flexibility. You'll gain more trust.
Yeah.
And I think employers need to think of it that way, where if they're getting their work done and you're allowing them to have flexibility, they may or may not take it. They may not work from home every time they can, because they may want to come into the office once they earn that. And then once they, are open and have been in the office and, build a relationship with the team, and then they get to, use that flexibility as they want and not take advantage of it. But
no, exactly. And I think while you're interviewing, the HR team or the company really needs to hear and understand, whatever that employee is dealing with, whether, hey, they just had a newborn and the spouse is having some complications. Okay, hear that and understand they're going to need some flexibility. But if they're a great culture fit, if they have great skill set and they're going to fit really well in the team, try them out, give them that autonomy to whatever they need, work remote or whatever the case is. And like Steph said, if they're getting their work done, great. You just entered into having a great employee, a trusted employee, someone who feels valued, and then they're doing all this great work for you. It's a win-win.
I like that. I mean, it's in reality, it's humanize the process.
Right.
It's humanize, and I think like back in time, maybe that was a thing, but I don't think it ever really worked. It was just kind of, that's how we did it, And my thinking is right now, it's an invitation to actually really look at that and say, it's not working, but it's not because everything is crumbling. It's an invitation. Well, what's the invitation for? Well, to humanize the process on both ways, and to see that actually it's an exchange. And when I hold these focus research groups about corporate happiness, someone actually said to realize, that you're not like working for me as a company. You're not looking at you're working for me. No, we're working with each other, and also like, I mean, maybe the employee looking like, it's like, we're working together. It's a partnership really, and to humanize the whole process. And that also, then brings forth that you bring forth understanding, flexibility, and you bring forth that it's not a mistake, it's a learning process. We can always learn from everything, and humanizing it that way brings up trust, and it brings up value for the people that work there. And I think that's really when I speak about happiness. What is happiness? It's just well-feeling, whatever that means. And being valued, that's happiness right there. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally, yes. I do.
So do you have a process? So in your, like, okay, I'm looking for a job, I'm coming to you, and you have all these amazing companies that you know of. And do you have like a process where you ask people, like, like, obviously, do you want to be happy? Yes, sure. But what happiness means and whatnot. Do you have like a form that people fill out, or how do you nail it down what somebody really wants? Because I think listeners from this show, there are companies and entrepreneurs and executives, but there are also people that are looking for jobs. So what do you think is a good process, and how do you deal with that to make sure that their happiness is actually included in your search?
Yeah.
I love that question. And I think we should start asking that to our candidates. What makes you happy? Because right now, what we try to do is get to know our candidates. It's all about building that relationship. And it's not just, asking these like skills, like, do you have this? Do you have this? But really not just a one-time call and like checking the boxes and then, sending them over to our client, but really, in a series of multiple calls and video interviews, like really getting to know them, not just asking them if they have these skills, if they check all the boxes, but tell me about yourself, leave it open ended, really get to know them on a personal level. And I think by doing that, you build relationships, you get to know them, what's important to them. They start opening up once you enable that like trust, or once you build that trust. And then they'll start telling you, oh, well, my mom's really sick and, I need to be here for her. And they'll start opening up to you. And I think just by building a relationship, you kind of learn like what's important to them, what's not important to them, what does make them happy, what doesn't make them happy.
What's their motivation for leaving or wanting a new job?
Right.
We find out a lot of things.
We do. And I think that's something we do a good job at. But I like asking that question, what makes you happy? I mean, that's a straight up, like,
that's a fun question.
I know.
Yeah,
I would love to hear what people say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, actually, it's a question that's almost like weird. It's like, you're looking for a job and somebody says, well, what makes you happy? And it's almost like, well, it's to build a bridge between work and happiness. Because personally, I mean, with my work that I do, I feel like, you should be you. And you should do your life. And then as such, in doing your life, you go to work and you're private. But it's not, you're different here, you're different there. It's like, so who are you? What makes you happy? And as such, you walk your life and you work.
That
it's like
is something
fluid, more fluid,
I think you should be the same person regardless of where you are. And I learned that personally for myself, because I used to be in the corporate world and I thought, I had to be in this box, right? You have to fit in. And I never felt like happy, that true happiness that you're talking about. And I realized, oh, I'm not being my authentic self. I'm not being who I am, and I'm not speaking up when I need to. Maybe I didn't feel like I could, or, and I think at work and at home and with your friends and with work partners, I think you should try to be your authentic self so that you're not changing.
Yeah, because it's exhausting.
It is.
Right.
And it's not fulfilling. It's like, I feel like when you're you and you're doing your life as you, no matter where you are, it's energizing. And then because it comes from your heart, and you always have enough energy there, you always have enough energy as you. And when you're exhausted, it means that there's something off. You're just not aligned to maybe dig a little deeper and say, why am I so exhausted? Yeah, sure. If you don't sleep because you have children, that's fine. We all know how that goes. I'm talking about, this unhappy exhaustion, where it's like, why am I exhausted? And a lot of times it's because you're just not you at work, or even you're not you private in your relationship, but we're talking about work here. So so do you think because of COVID, do you think your job changed?
Yes,
it always changes, doesn't it?
I will say, I think about, COVID, going through it, and whenever it first happened, it seemed like, it was horrible. The whole world stopped. Like, people weren't hiring anymore. Like, what is this going to do for our industry? It was almost traumatic. And then now that we're on the other side of it, I feel like a lot of good things came out of it. For the workplace. And by that, I mean, I feel like during COVID, people really had a chance to take some time off, had a chance to reflect on what is really important. If their job was so demanding and, too stressful, I feel like a lot of people left that and tried to find jobs that made them happier. I feel like COVID did that to a lot of people. And for us, it was we talked to those people. So we got to see it firsthand, people leaving their jobs, or if they got laid off and it was, horrible at the time, but now they found something else they didn't even realize was what they were missing out on, and it's even better. I feel like a lot of people change in our industry because companies had to get more flexible and how to get more innovative on how to make company culture better, and realize people aren't standing for this harsh work environment anymore. They want flexibility. They want they want a voice, they want to feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it changed for the better, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
happier, healthier, more sustainable. And I think so too. And I see it, in all these talks that I'm holding now and everything. And I mean, you guys are at the root of it. So you're so important because I feel like, it's like you're this connection, not the disconnection. You are the connection between the people that maybe are trying to find their new ways and companies that are trying to find their new ways too. There's a lot of disconnect, a lot of, like kind of feeling lost. And you guys are like actually the connection. And it's almost like you guys are asked to be completely clear on it and to be like forefront, pioneers, I would say, because you connect the dots, you connect the two. So I think the pressure is on, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
the pressure's on the companies to be flexible. It's really interesting to see some of these organizations that, aren't flexible and they want their employees in, 5 days a week, and their pool of candidates has dwindled dramatically. It's very interesting to see. So to answer your question, yes, it's changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, thank God we have you guys because you're so forefront and dynamic and way ahead thinking, and you're embracing it. And I really truly hope that everyone listening, takes a taste of that. Employees, people, and companies, and other companies, that refer people that take that approach. Because in my eyes, if we're staying like really modern and forward thinking and dynamic, there is only winning for everyone in there, I think, because we're actually healthier, we're happier, we're like, if somebody takes a job, they really take it because they're excited. There's no more old stuff going on because, out with the old, in with the new and forward. And I like where we're going.
I agree. And thank you so
Mhm.
much for saying that. I wish everyone saw that way, but a lot of people don't even know about like what we do. Like sometimes I tell people what I do and they just have no idea. And it's, educating people, like we're here to help you and we're your advocates and cheerleaders. And we don't just want to like put you in something that you're not happy in. We want you to be happy. What if it makes them happy? It makes the company happy and us happy. It's,
Yeah.
good for
I
everybody.
like that. You're like the modern glue for everything. Like
I like
with
that.
some glitter and good understanding.
Lots
and
of glitter, yes.
Lots of glitter and lots of happiness and understanding and wanting this dynamic way of being and living to be, and people to succeed, also companies to succeed, because a lot of times companies don't see it and the people don't see it, but you guys do. So, and I like that it's like a support system, educational too, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm wanting to highlight that, because I see that and I know that it is so valuable what you two do, immensely. So
Thank
what
you.
made you start your own company?
That's a
Always wanted
right.
to,
I mean,
really.
yeah, that's something. I mean, I think we've dreamed of, and then it was just kind of the right timing. Ash and I were, in completely different companies, different industries. Really, I mean, similar like HR and recruiting. But it was the right timing. The perfect opportunity was there. And so I had approached Ash, and it was just like, yeah, let's do
No
this.
brainer.
Yeah. And
Meant to be.
it
Meant to
was
be.
definitely meant to be. And we have partners that, we started NextPath with that. I mean, they're pioneers in the industry. They're like the best of the best. And so it was like,
Mhm.
it's not even a question. Yes, 100%. Like, let's do this. And
I love
like,
it.
didn't even look back.
Yeah.
I love it. And I mean, what I really love, I mean, like I said, we met before, but I also see it again now. You guys are just, or you ladies are just super, super leaders, but you lead with the heart. It's a power that a lot of times, it's the heart, it's the soft way, it's this old way of looking at it, that it's actually kind of not powerful, but it's actually super powerful. And I think you guys are just like showing that actually open your heart and go with that, and leadership like that can be actually super powerful.
Thank you. That's how I
Yeah,
see you as well.
absolutely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
That's I love that perspective of leading with your heart, because I think that sums it up really nicely, because we always do things with everyone's best intention, and we really try to put positivity out there because we feel like, okay, what you give out into the universe, that's what you're going to receive. So we really try to be intentional on, positivity and doing everything for each other.
Yeah, that's in my eyes, that this is the invitation, the times that we're in. It's like a really energetic way of living, energetic way of working, doing business, and also like that energetic, I mean, it's open your heart, open it up.
Yeah.
There's nothing more than good can come out of it if you just walk through life with a real open heart. And yes, maybe, when you have an open heart, you get hurt and all that stuff. But, life is these ups and downs and lefts and rights, and to life belongs that sometimes you get hurt and sometimes you don't get hurt. And it's really, however, I would never choose to close my heart in the work I do, because it's just super powerful. And you two are showing that too, that it is powerful to lead with the heart. I like that. So really,
and this might be down a rabbit hole, but what you said about getting hurt,
let's go there. I like it.
But like, if you do lead with your heart and you do get hurt, you need to think of it as a good thing. Oh, to feel those emotions, right? Because if you don't feel those those downturns, how are you going to understand the fabulous uphills and the wonderful good feels, right?
Agreed. It all belongs together. And the thing is like, also like all feelings are you. It's just that you're a whole being. Life is a whole entity, and it all goes in. There is you can't exclude something. That's bad. Well, it's life. It's like, to just take it a little bit on that side and say, well, everything is really a stepping stone. And what am I going to make out of it? Am I going to stand still? Am I going to go down now? Or am I going to keep going up? And because there's never a ceiling how high you can go. And I think when you lead with the heart, you will know, and you will notice and also see that there is never a ceiling. Because right when you think like, ooh, I feel so good, well, you can feel even better. And that's the thing. But that also goes with downward too. There's no bottom. So why would you go there? I go up. So, and I think you do go up too. So,
for sure.
So when you look at your background, you are moms and have families, and you did NFL cheerleading, and so you've been to places and you've done a lot, had a lot of experiences. How do these experiences, when you kind of look back, help you with what you do today?
Oh, tremendously. When you say that, I immediately go to NFL cheerleading days where we learned so much so quickly, and not even about football. It was really more about how to address someone and to really connect with them, and to being on time is late, being 15 minutes early is being on time. I'll never forget that. And just being prepared with all of your things, with all of your items that you need for the day, but also having a backup plan too. So it really propelled me. I don't want to speak for Steph, but I think she agrees with me. It really propelled you into being a responsible individual, and understanding and being aware of your surroundings.
Right. No, I feel like every single one of those things, I would not be the person I am today if that didn't happen. I may not be at NextPath if it wasn't that I cheered back in, 12 years ago, because that's how I met, the girl that I got the job through. It's like one step leads to another. And I wouldn't be the person I am today. I've grown so much by every single one of those experiences, by being a mom, by, the different roles that I've had, by meeting Ashley, by every single thing has helped shape my life, good or bad. I'm a stronger person today because of it. I feel like I'm a better person today because of it.
Absolutely.
and they all, all of our experience helped shape us on who we are today.
Gosh, being a mom, I think, is top of the list for propelling us into just being a fabulous individual. Well, it's hard. It's extremely hard. And I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you're semi thinking you're ready. But it's like, wow, that really gets you responsible and prepared.
Yeah, and in reality, I mean, it's like the most important thing ever. It's like being a mom, a parent is just like, to me, oh, there's nothing else that tops it. It's like, and every day is different and every face is different. And I learned so much about myself, and it constantly reminds me of keep my heart open and keeps me honest, become a better person. And so I just, yeah, I agree with with what you're saying. It's amazing.
Having kids, you have to put someone else above yourself. You have like someone else whose life depends on you. So at that point, I feel like you're almost like, selfless. You're having to put others before yourself, even if maybe before kids you weren't like that. Like you're kind of forced into thinking of others, and
for sure,
you also become a bear mom too.
A bear mom,
right? I'm saying, like, even with an open heart. Oh, I'm gonna fight for my children. Yeah, you better not, right? And that helps too, especially with an open-hearted and big-hearted personality like you ladies have too. It's also important that you also set your boundaries and that you're just like, oh, I'm right there. And that, I think that's really a great thing that I feel is very important too, that you have really, it's like this wholesomeness, right?
Right.
You also learn a lot of patience.
Yes.
And what's interesting? I learned how to explain things verbally. Like, they ask the silliest, most interesting questions. They're so cute. And it's like, oh, I've never thought on how to articulate to explain why that is. It really challenges you in so many different ways. So yeah, I mean, you said it the best. Like, each one of those pieces of our lives has really brought us to be the person we are today. Yeah, very thankful for those experiences.
Yeah. See, and I think that's when you embrace really everything in life, that's when you really are able to keep your heart open. I also think that's when you step into your leadership role. No matter where in your life or business, as a parent or whatever, you step in your leadership role because you're embracing everything and you're not scared of anything because you have such an open heart. You listen to yourself and you're going to go for it. And I mean, that adds also on, like, to looking for a job, right? To listen to yourself, to step into that, to embrace it, and to know that your job is out there, even if you have an open heart, and even if you say, my boundary is I want to work this way or that way, your job is really out there. And I also think for the companies to realize that if you open your heart and you're really like, you're transparent, you're honest, you are saying what values are there for you, and then you're also standing in line with those values, I do think you are thriving, and you're gonna thrive, and you're gonna find your magicians that make your company, right?
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the Lifeboat and Boss Up podcast. Sorry about that. So tell me a little bit how it started and what is the purpose. And I know you guys are loving it, right?
We love it. It's so much fun and such good connections. So Live Bold and Boss Up podcast is a personal and professional development podcast. That's like an easy way to like sum it up really quick. But we started the podcast back in 2020 in the thick of everything kind of going on, right? And we were just having these conversations with clients as well as candidates, having the same conversations really. And we thought, okay, this is the great time to record ourselves, answer these questions, push them out as an episode, and then we can share it to everyone because we're just having these, the same conversations over and over again. And then we started talking to entrepreneurs and C-level executives at different organizations and finding out, how did you get to where you are and what's your story? And, it looks easy, right? You see them in their, in their, I don't know what I'm trying to say, in their goal, in their like wholeness, or in that role that they've like worked so hard to get to. And people don't see the failures behind that. So it's really interesting to unfold that and talk with them and hear about their challenges and what they went through to get there.
I like it. Love it. Love it. Because I mean, you're giving people a voice, and then you're also giving people a chance to listen to other people and hear their stories. And that's very empowering. So I like that. And that's really what this podcast is about too. The Corporate Happiness Show, to give people a voice and to kind of highlight also something that's just sometimes, it's like common sense. People hear that and say, well, yeah, of course, but until you hear it and it's spoken, it's not in your awareness. And then, but when it's in your awareness, you're going to move forward in your life completely different. And that's really the purpose of, this show, hopefully to inspire people on many levels. So where can people find you?
We are on all major platforms, and we also have our YouTube channel, which you can check out all of our videos. We have our company website, nextpathcp.com, and on that website you can also find links to our Live Bold and Boss Up podcast as well. And we're on all social media: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So we try to stay connected with everyone and, have fun while we do it too.
I love that. Yeah, I think everyone should get in contact with you, no matter what it's for. Like, listen to the podcast and rate and review. And also, like, if you're interested in jobs or the whole market or everything, because you guys are just very, very wise and very positive and super strong leaders and powerful. So I just really appreciate that you are in the industry and that you're out there, right? I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
That is so sweet.
Well, is there anything else you want to say, like, to people?
I mean, I feel like you did a good job at covering it all. I feel like, your podcast, I love what you're doing. Like, you're amazing. I think, all the things that you just said, like, I look up to you for those things in yourself as well. But just that, like your podcast and our podcast are coming together and supporting each other, and women supporting each other, and in business too. Like, I think it's great that, we're doing that. People are doing that. You're seeing it a lot right now. And I think it's awesome to see. So we appreciate your support.
Well, I appreciate that you said yes to come on the show, very much so, because it is a new show after all. So, well, thank you for being here. And to all the listeners, listen, get in touch, and I hope this inspires you, and just be happy. Try to be happy, because you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.